you've been newly diagnosed, or even if you were diagnosed a few years ago, I just want you to know that coming to this point where you accept your disease activity and where you're at could honestly take years. Let's get into this. It is going to be so detrimental to you and your health and your body healing. Not only your body, but your mind, your spirit, if you do not accept this disease and you internalize this as there's something wrong with me or I'm lesser than, this can lead to substance abuse, alcohol abuse, eating disorders, either binge eating or not eating enough, and just in general bad habits. This horrible self-talk. Now, I have one subscriber in particular that I'm thinking about. I'm sure you know who you are. But she was basically explaining in the comment section how she was in an abusive relationship. This can also really happen coming from this place of, I'm not good enough. There's something wrong with me. This makes me a lesser human somehow. That will put you in a place where you're willing to accept things from people that you should not be accepting. So it's very important that you accept that you have this disease and that you understand that this does not mean that you are this extra baggage somehow or lesser than in any type of way. A couple of things that I want to address. And this video is even a little bit hard for me to make because this can be an everyday struggle and it takes time. And it has taken me years to even get to this point. You have to be very careful about your self-talk, the way you talk to yourself. So, first of all, you might be feeling like, I'm going to have this horrible disease for the rest of my life. It's always going to impede on my relationships and how physically active I'm able to be and affect my career or what career choices I can make. This is something that did happen to me. As far as it affecting my career choice, I did a video on that. I spent probably over 10 years in the complete and total wrong career, given my medical situation. But actually, what ended up happening is the things that I want out of life now, that career choice wouldn't have fit. And it's like everything really does, I feel like, happen for a reason. So being in the medical field would absolutely not fit what I'm trying to do with my life at this point. I want to be able to live in Europe. I want to be able to travel and still be able to work remotely. And being in the healthcare field in the capacity that I was just absolutely would not fit with that. And this is something that's really important to me. This is an experience I really want to have, a part of my heritage I really want to explore. So, do you see what I'm saying? Everything really does happen for a reason. And it might be painful right now, and that's okay. This might be affecting your relationships. But to be honest, this also did happen to me. That person, if they couldn't handle this, if they can't handle you having a chronic illness, what's going to happen when you're older, later in life? And, generally for most people later in life, they end up with some type of chronic illness, honestly. And believe me, I worked in senior care for a long time. Trust me, I know. I don't think I met one single senior citizen that did not have some form of chronic illness later in life. So what would happen then? How would they treat you then? How would they be able to handle it then? I don't think you'd be too happy. So I just want you guys to understand that. Now, the other thing that you're thinking is, oh, well, my life expectancy, how long am I going to be here? That's something I really struggle with. Am I going to not have as many as long of a life as I would if I didn't have this disease. And I'm telling you right now, regardless of whether you have this disease or not, if it's your time, it's your time. And God will take you out one way or the other when it is your time. And I just want to prove that to you for a second. Little trigger warning. This is a little graphic. If like blood and that kind of thing freaks you out, you might want to skip this part. When I think I was like 14 or 15, I fell through a pane glass window, like I put my hand up against the window. There was like a staircase up against the house, and it had rained, and it was like a wooden staircase, and it was slippery. So I put my hand out to keep myself from falling down the stairs. But I didn't realize, when you react in that moment, it happens so fast. I didn't realize that I was right up against the window, and because of my weight and I was having to lean so much on it, my hand fell right through this pane glass window, and I lacerated a radial artery. And I have a big nasty scar to prove it. But it's that long, and it took a long time to heal. Let me see if I can get it closer. I hope you guys can see that. See how it starts like way up here and it ends about here? That's a big scar. So I was legitimately bleeding out. They tried to put me in the car, and I was bleeding so quickly. I was losing too much blood. I was passing out, actually, from blood loss. And they decided we can't just drive her to the hospital. They had to call an ambulance. They had to put a tourniquet here. And I remember waking up to paramedics slapping me in the face, telling me I got to stay awake. And I saw some things while I was basically bleeding out. If you guys want me to talk about that in another video, leave it in the comment section, but that's a whole nother situation. I did see some real interesting things while I was literally passed out from blood loss. The ambulance came. I had to have an emergency radial artery repair. I was very, very close to death. I lost a lot of blood, and you know what? It just wasn't my time. I could have really easily died, but it wasn't my time. It's just that simple. And that wasn't even the only near-death experience I've had, unfortunately. But in any of those times, it just wasn't my time to go. So regardless of if you have this disease or not, when God decides it's your time, it's your time. So I just want you to stop thinking that it's very negative. I think I've explained in other videos that I feel like it's important to find your faith, whatever that is, if that's just general spirituality, Catholicism, Christianity, Buddhist, Hinduism, whatever that is for you. But I think it's very important that you find your faith. You're going to need it. Now, there was something I always remember. My grandmother told me this as a child. She would say to me, "This too shall pass." And I always remembered that. For some reason, it just stayed with me. So when I started having anxiety, I would tell myself that. And this is why, I didn't always have to be on anxiety medications, because this disease will give you so much anxiety. But I just always hear her voice telling me this too shall pass. And I remember trying not to cry just thinking about it. I remember sitting in the infusion chair to get Stefnillo. And I I'm a very brave person, and I didn't think I'd be upset, but I just was in this room with all these other people getting infusions like Cytoxin, Rituxan, Safnilo, Benlysta, and I'm looking around and I'm just like, this is what it's come to for me. And that's an easy place to go mentally and emotionally. And I just remember as they're getting the IV ready and they start the IV, I started crying. Like, just so many emotions just kind of took over. And it was really hard. But I heard my grandmother's voice in my head saying to me, this too shall pass. I just want you guys to know that it's going to be hard to accept the things that we have to deal with this disease. As you can see, it's still hard to this day to talk about certain things, and that's okay. I want you guys to know that it is okay to be upset. It is okay to feel however you're feeling. It's okay to sit here and be in your emotions and then let them pass. But I want you to get back up, pick yourself back up off the floor, and do what you need to do. And realize that you are not your disease. And you are still worthy of love, of happiness, of living your life. And you will get to that point. You are stronger than most people to be able to deal with this. There's a lot to be said for that. And you also need to accept that sometimes, I know that these medications can be scary. They come with scary warning labels. It can be very saddening to be in these infusion suites and getting these infusions. It can just be soul crushing. And it's okay to feel that, but then let it pass. I want to share with you guys a part of my favorite poem by Edgar Allan Poe. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. You have so much life to live. You are not going to be able to live that life effectively if you do not accept this. You don't want to be in this constant inner conflict and this feeling lesser than. It's not a good place to be, you guys. It's not. You have to let it go. You have to internally, mentally, emotionally, spiritually accept where you're at, the medications, your limitations, which is very difficult. This comes with time. And it's okay to not feel so great about this every day. There are times when I sit there and I just still get upset, obviously. And certain things are still hard for me to talk about. But this is why I come on here publicly and show you guys all of this, because I want you to know that it is okay. Let me know how you guys are doing with this in the comment section. And like, share, subscribe, and stay strong, guys. You got this.